They are one great part of our history, always there to defend the skies. When the dream was born and we all believed.
Welcome to the news. The number of persons killed and injured in the Kosovo conflict increases every week. Thousands of people are homeless and fleeing. In the meantime, the Federal Council and the DTPS are still debating whether Switzerland is to participate in an international relief mission under the name of Operation Alba. The idea is to deploy 3 Super Puma helicopters from the Swiss Air Force to Tirana, the capital of Albania, in support of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR. After the arrival of Brigadier General Christoph Kekais, head of Operation Alba, 43 Air Force volunteers meet already tonight at the Alpnach Air Base for a first briefing. The definitive decision of the Federal Council on participation in the operation is expected to be made tomorrow morning. On behalf of the STC and the UNHCR, the 3 Air Force Super Pumas are to ferry supplies to the refugee camps in northern Albania and carry out medical evacuations.
The war during the Kosovo conflict was impressive. One was able to follow the events every day on TV. In absolutely record time, the Federal Council decided over Easter that the Air Force was to deploy helicopters to Kosovo. It was the first time that Air Transport Service fears of getting too involved were overcome, and 3 helicopters were deployed for the purpose of international collaboration.
Internationale Zusammenarbeit den humanitären Einsatz zu leisten.
...667 supply flights carrying 4,500 persons and moving 830 tons of relief goods were the characteristic traits of this first international operation of the Swiss Armed Forces. Operation Alba is but the beginning of many humanitarian relief operations in Switzerland and abroad. Six years later, a violent seaquake in the Indian Ocean results in a series of devastating tsunamis. Within hours, these wreak havoc in adjacent countries, from the coasts to deep within. This calamity triggers a unique demonstration of solidarity. Already within a very short time, rescue forces arrive in Sumatra to support the civilian authorities and provide the population with fresh hope. Switzerland participates too. Armed Forces Command deploys 3 Super Puma helicopters to Indonesia, which provide relief to the local rescue forces engaged in air transport operations. Humanitarian relief operations are but a small part of the Air Force's major engagement to support civilian authorities and people in need. In Switzerland, Air Force staff members operate around the clock for everyone who depends on aerial assistance. In 2011, the quaint village of Visp in the canton of Valais is devastated. An extensive forest fire leads to destruction and panic. Three years later, in 2011, Thomas Schmid was operations chief of the local fire brigade. He was on duty for several weeks fighting the forest fire. When the fire brigade was alerted on the 26th of April 2011, he coordinated about 350 rescue forces who provided immediate assistance as soon as the fire broke out.
I soon realized that our resources in the Upper Valley were insufficient. So via the canton we requested assistance from the armed forces. No bureaucracy. 2 hours after our request for help, 2 Swiss Air Force Super Pumas were on location to prepare for operations.
Thanks to the determined response of the armed forces, the Air Force Super Puma helicopters are able to begin their firefighting operations and thus prevent the fire source from spreading. Within a short time, thousands of litres of water are dumped onto the blazing fire source. After the fire has been extinguished, precautionary measures are taken to prevent hot embers from lighting new fires.
If the fire's been extinguished superficially, there remain subterranean hotspots that continue to smoulder for days and could reignite the fire. The thermal imaging camera is able to locate these hotspots and specifically target them.
For this purpose, the armed forces use the FLIR system. FLIR is an English abbreviation that stands for Forward-Looking Infrared Camera. However, this particular camera doesn't merely look forward. Attached to a Super Puma, it serves as a modern search device. FLIR has a wide range of operations and can be applied in many situations. So this camera can, for example, also be used to search for lost persons in difficult terrain. Apart from humanitarian operations, collecting information and air policing, that is, the protection of our airspace, are part of the core capabilities of the new Swiss Air Force. Since 2001, the ADS-95 Ranger reconnaissance drone has been performing in operations high above us.
The ADS-95 reconnaissance drone system has 2 primary tasks to fulfill. The main task is on behalf of the armed forces. The second one is subsidiary, in other words, in support of various emergency organizations. It's possible that we've been tasked by the police, the border guard, the fire brigade, or in the event of a natural disaster, even by the cantonal management staff.
From the operations centre, it can be controlled up to a distance of 100 kilometres and can thus patrol the unguarded green borders of Switzerland or serve as an intelligence procurement instrument during conferences. During important events such as the WEF, the World Economic Forum in Davos, or the G8 summit in Evian in 2003, combat jets were deployed in addition for air policing to protect our airspace. As spearhead in the third dimension, they control the entire Swiss airspace and prevent aircraft from entering into the respective closed zones. A task that demands utmost concentration on the part of the pilots and good coordination on the ground. The latter is provided by the operations centre in Dubendorf, where military and civilian air traffic control are combined under the same roof. This facilitates coordination between civilian air traffic and military patrol flights. Such coordination is unique in Europe and is fundamental for successful completion of the various missions.